A parent's perspective on the traumatic event of a daughter's suspicious death, with a file riddled with misrepresented facts and discrepancies, and no criminal investigation. The two agencies involved have shifted the blame back and forth while the family has pursued answers for 28 months. We did not learn that our daughter had been found deceased in a typical manner. There was no knock at our door, no call from law enforcement, and no notification of any kind from any medical professional. We didn't receive a call to go to the hospital or to come to identify her. While searching for her, we planned to drive near the Marion County Sheriff's Office, as her phone had pinged in that area. We had so many thoughts. This was the same agency we had contacted previously, having reported her last seen on January 3, 2023, leaving the family home following uncharacteristic behaviors, and she was potentially missing or endangered. She had missed appointments and had not returned home as planned. Our family's safety strategy has consistently involved maintaining regular and prompt communication, utilizing GPS for tracking locations, and, as known, will initiate a call to law enforcement for a welfare check. We had spoken with the MCSO agency and verified multiple times, providing both her name and birth date. They confirmed they had not received any calls regarding my daughter or her then boyfriend, including inquiries about domestic violence, arrests, or any incidents logged in their system. As our family continued to search, we called several people, including her boyfriend, towards the afternoon of January 5, 2023. We were able to reach Louis Latorre, her on and off boyfriend. By phone I asked him where my daughter was, and without any emotion, he coldly replied, "She was at the ME office at that moment." I assumed he meant she was at a type of urgent care, perhaps due to illness or injury. This led me to ask what is going on. His simple, callous response of, "She was on an autopsy table." It took a hot minute to register what he meant to understand and respond. Followed by explicit language, I then pierced out asking him, "Are you telling me she was FK and dead?" His response again was simply short, cold, and had a piquancy of "yeah." That moment and his tone will forever resonate in my mind and soul. I felt the internal gut punch, my heart ripped from my body at that moment, a vocal and internal scream that had never stopped a mother's never-ending anguished cry. He provided no further explanation or information, only noting that he had a medical examiner's card left with him when they took the body. He never initially notified us or indicated how officials could contact her family. Based on our personal experiences and further details regarding Louis, such as images, text messages, and records, I recognize that there is additional information, including his actions and behaviors. I hold him responsible. Other individuals mentioned in the incident report may have also played a role, but it remains undefined how or to what degree. The body was reportedly moved as listed by officials and individuals' written or stated remarks. The crime scene and additional images showed that several items had been particularly packed, while other photos indicated a disturbance had occurred. Numerous items were out of place, scattered about, and damaged. My knowledge and understanding of particular idiosyncrasies of the situation also suggest the likelihood of foul play. During my discussions with the medical staff, I learned that an autopsy had already been performed without notification, permission, or consultation from us. Tracy S. Corey Handy referred to victimizing statements, and we later discovered inaccuracies in the records. She informed me that my daughter was recovered 6 minutes after midnight the night of January 4th, after the boyfriend called 911. Cody underwent a full autopsy on January 5, 2023, at 10:30 a.m. that same day, and we were told we would have to wait 6 to 8 weeks for the toxicology results. I expressed a few concerns regarding Cody's medical history, organ donations, domestic violence, traumatic brain injuries, gastric surgery, and the questions of any potential drug or alcohol use. However, the medical examiner did not address the condition of the body, her complete medical history, or current medications. I had just learned my daughter was dead. I expected, like any other professional, that the medical examiner or their office would conduct due diligence by ordering labs, tests, and x-rays, along with contacting Cody's doctors or surgeons for medical records. Eventually, she provided me with contact information for Detective Deepan Dur of the Marion County Major Crimes Unit for further investigation. After multiple calls over the next 5 months, we continuously requested additional lab tests to rule out other causes or errors, as well as x-rays for clarification of injuries. After persistent inquiries, the medical examiner finally agreed to conduct x-rays and test the vitreous fluid. Ultimately, these reports had uncovered contradictions, misidentifications, and omissions of vital information related to marks, scars, and indications of verbally communicated blunt force trauma and asphyxiation. She indicated that most of the details were derived from the initial scene investigation. Throughout our questioning, including inquiries about the approximate time of death, her responses often seemed dismissive, as she remarked that such questions could only be answered on TV shows. Regarding my contact with Detective Deepan Dur during our initial call, he was adamant in presenting his narrative that Cody was using drugs, implying she was a drug overdose or suicide, claims that the family fully denied. The family presented supporting evidence, including phone records, upcoming plans, bills Cody paid on the morning of January 4, 2023, confirmed employment opportunities for January 4th and 5th, 2023, and a beach trip for her birthday. We also attempted to provide past medical records and recent hospital-related occupational drug tests as proof. During that same initial call, the detective refused to meet with the family to discuss their concerns and to review or retrieve additional video footage from businesses or phone data we had gathered while searching for Cody. This information was to build Cody's missing timeline and to prove ongoing altercations and assaults that were seen or overheard. Despite this, the family sent the detective an email with further information to review, but received no response. Both agencies appeared extremely dismissive of any other possibilities beyond the initial narrative of drug overdose or suicide. Additionally, neither agency notified the family or discussed what the family discovered 7 days later, a soul-crushing occurrence etched forever in our memory, as our family was finally able to see Cody at the funeral home. It left us devastated. I remembered yelling out that it was not her, and tears began streaming. It was not literally what I meant, but the sight sank me mentally. By my response, he knew. Her father was so distressed he stopped abruptly at the entryway. He couldn't go any further. I had to affirm what I did not desire to imagine. It all seemed surreal. Her sister and I were forced to view her through a large window. She was in a clear Sleeping Beauty casket-type box. I was not permitted to hug her, kiss her, hold her hand, run my fingers through her hair, or in any way touch her. I in no way was allowed to comfort my child one last time. No one expected to see the severe deep purple bruises, cuts, scrapes, and abrasions covering either side of her face, or the additional marks and bruises on her entire body other than her palms and the soles of her feet, which were clean and clear of marks. To this day, her brother has yet to see or know these crushing details. I did, however, request pictures taken as evidence. The funeral home was precisely as alarmed, as we had not known of the injuries. Nonetheless, these agencies were expecting us not to question why or what had happened. With the photographs in hand, I again demanded an in-person meeting to present them with even more questions. I wanted answers and charges filed. Recall Lewis's statements heard through the 911 call and transcript, where he alleged that Cody could have hit her head and neck, but her injuries suggested more than just a simple fall. During subsequent calls with the medical examiner, it was verbal statement indicated that Cody had sustained blunt force injuries and that she had asphyxiated herself. However, this was never formally documented in either the autopsy or incident reports. The medical examiner refused to address the possibility that anyone else might have been involved, despite Lewis's stated history or records. Ultimately, the medical examiner ruled the cause and manner of death as an accident due to ethanol toxicity, failing to list or explain the contributing injuries, which is likewise standard practice on death certificates, but because it provides a fuller picture, it raised further questions about their decision-making process. The medical examiner contended and alleged, "Your daughter was just drunk and asphyxiated herself. Instead of finding us any answers or comfort," ME Dr. Tracy Corey advised, "I seek help to cope with my daughter's death." The family later received correspondence from the medical examiner's law firm instructing them not to communicate further with the family. Let's take a moment to consider the potential number of additional cases in Marion County, Florida, that our family has uncovered. These cases may share similar issues to our daughter's situation or reflect experiences akin to those of our family. I will tell you, they too matter, and just as our family, they seek answers and justice. Repeated similar incidents create a community's misplaced skepticism about safety and trust in officers and officials performing their duties. What has been accumulated through our records, files, and evidence. As stated in the incident report, the 911 call was made by Cody's then-boyfriend from a residence with 4 other individuals. He claimed she may have hit her head and neck, but this may only be part of the circumstances surrounding her death. The situation was handled without collecting any evidence or gathering rebuttal information. An indeterminate period, whether hours or days, was spent with these individuals who might have hidden details about having heard, witnessed, or participated in a dispute or confrontation. This raises concerns about a staged scene, particularly given the history of law enforcement involvement, domestic violence, witness statements, and jurisdiction of 3 or more states. Throughout the records and files, the individuals' statements, criminal records, and related activities contradicted each other in various reports of individuals. The Marion County Sheriff's Office expressed victimization by asserting to the family that they had no victim. They claimed Cody was associated with bad people in a bad residence. They relied on biased attributes and fragments of information to construct a misleading narrative about our daughter rather than focusing on the factual details or evidence of what might have genuinely occurred. This narrative was further supported by conflicting witness statements from those listed or possibly involved. While we collected records, images, and reports, we sought outside resources for assistance. It was discovered that the body-worn camera footage had missing lapse of approximately 79 minutes while turned off and on during the initial emergency call. This conduct reflected numerous discrepancies between the movements, statements, behaviors, and edits within the initial incident report, the official documents regarding the deputy's findings, and the whereabouts and behaviors of various individuals were removed from the reports. The detective failed to fully communicate the scope of information with the next of kin and neglected to follow up appropriately. There was a lack of effort to gather, contain, or test evidence that would prove or disprove additional facts. The detective refused to collect video surveillance from nearby businesses, nor did they obtain phone and banking records or construct a timeline that could have clarified the circumstances surrounding the incident. Additionally, both the detective and the medical investigator conveyed a biased narrative, sharing information with the medical examiner and superiors without considering any established history, conflicting timelines, text messages, interviews, or other potential witnesses. As a result, the case was closed within 30 days based solely on sparse and contradictory statements. The incident report and records indicate that a conclusion was reached within hours of the initial emergency call, as confirmed by the medical examiner's certified autopsy report dated January 11, 2023. However, the Pennsylvania lab did not receive the test samples for toxicology analysis until January 12, 2023. Over the last 18 months, we have gathered a list of superiors while making several requests to meet with Sheriff Woods to address the situation and discuss important issues such as contradictions, misrepresentations, and inconsistencies in the incident reports and body-worn cameras. However, we were met with a complacent, dismissive mindset toward our concerns. Despite also submitting 3 internal affairs reports requesting a review of conduct and a thorough review of files, the response was a certified letter reiterating that the case remains closed and no investigation will be conducted. Both agencies involved have shifted the blame back and forth, sending us letters indicating that there would be no investigation or discussion regarding the overlooked or disregarded evidence. They did this without adequately reviewing essential medical records or evidence that could provide further information or amend the cause and manner of death. The autopsy report and medical records contain numerous discrepancies, including misleading information, contradictions, misidentifications, and errors that may compromise the truth. Many professionals and representatives were equally confused by our experience and had no answers or advice to offer through an independent investigation. We found that many of the individuals listed in the incident report have a long history of criminal behavior, both while incarcerated and otherwise. However, they were not investigated in connection with my daughter's death or concerning related cases. Some of these same individuals continue to engage in criminal activities and are ultimately often released back into the same unsuspecting communities. Our family is left with a profound loss and unanswered questions. A sister without a role model, a brother who lost his best friend, both her siblings secret keepers, her nieces and nephews, who will never really know, and forever lost an aunt. She is missing from the family dinner table, a mother's firstborn, her right hand, a dad who had the stolen right to walk his firstborn daughter down the aisle, or deprive the lives of her future children, to spoil and send them home. These forever lost but stolen future moments and occasions. We are devastated by the lack of trust and the injustices we have encountered. We have learned that we are not alone in this experience. We all see cancers. Officials have exploited biased attributes and used fragmented information to construct misleading narratives and engage in unethical practices. The situation is compounded by a glaring lack of training and understanding of laws, policies, and procedures necessary for effective evidence gathering and processing. Furthermore, the failures in communication and the absence of follow-through on investigations create a cycle of neglect that leaves many critical questions unanswered. As a result, families are left fractured and distrustful, while a pervasive sense of injustice looms large in our society. It is imperative that we confront these accountability issues to restore faith in our systems and ensure responsibility for all involved. This is a public safety concern, as Cody's death could have potentially been prevented. Others still need to be protected today. No family should have to endure such a loss or experience. Yet many seem to share a similar ordeal. Please consider helping by sharing our family's experience to raise awareness and assist families in finding answers and justice in their loved ones' cases.